Welcome viewers. Let us come to the class again, that is the first session, that is we have already discussed about global citizenship and ESD. So, let us come to the next part of this, like we have already discussed about the learning, the concept, the key domains of global citizenship education, that is the cognitive domain, cognitive, socio-emotional domain and the behavioral domain. So, just to recapitulate that, yes, cognitive domain primarily relates to our cognition, understanding, thought process, thinking skills, these kind of things, and the socio-emotional part actually relates to our values, our ethics, or the morals, etc., and the behavioral part, behavioral, that is our attitude, behavior, and actions that is that we are taking up. So, now how to implement this GESD, how to implement this GESD, that is global citizenship education in our school platform, in our schooling, in our education system. So, that is the main issue here. So, within the framework of SDG 4 and the target 4.7, UNESCO has already declared that that this should be incorporated in the education system through ESD, and UNESCO Doha conference also, it has also encourages mainstreaming this global citizenship education as a part of the ESD programs, including the issues like gender equality, human rights, then policy or curricula, teacher training, everything. So, how to incorporate it in the school framework, in education frameworks. So, in India, all of us you must be aware of, now we have this we have a center that is Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Education for Peace and Sustainable Development, briefly known as the MGIEP, which is actually is the UNESCO's first category education center, education related institute, and that represents the Asia Pacific region, and this is the only institute that is devoted completely to the education for peace, sustainable development, youth empowerment. So, whatever it has been enshrined in the SDG and SDG 4.7. So, the in India, that is in South Asian region as well as in India. So, UNESCO MGIEP, that is the Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Education and Peace for youth programs and etc. So, it exclusively focuses on these, that is GSED, that means global citizenship education system. So, SDG 4.7 actually it re-articulates all kinds of humanistic agenda for education and underscores all kinds of international consensus around promoting this transformative education and to advance the well-being. That means how to bring the transformation in our, not only in our education system, in our society through this kind of education, that is the including the global citizenship education in our ESD framework in the school educations. So, this with other targets, this 4.7 exclusively re-articulates on promoting the transformative education, the education patterns which should be transformative in nature, in bringing that 360 degree changes in our culture, in our behavior, in our thought, in our attitude, and in our cognitive domain. So, for the advancement and well-being for all the citizens across the globe. So, MGIEP has clearly elaborated on the what should be the course, the curriculum, the teacher training content, what should be the kind of curriculum and frameworks that we are going to briefly discuss about this. So, UNESCO MGIEP actually is already it is called for integrating social emotional learning. So, they have developed a framework called the SEL framework, that is integrating social emotional learning framework education system for developing a conceptual framework to envision or to revise, to revisit our education system, which is based on insights that we have got from the neuroscience and the cognitive psychology. So, it has actually published, that is in terms of manual and the booklet, it has already been published in 2017 in the name of Rethinking Schooling for the 21st Century, the State of Education for Peace, Sustainable Development and Global Citizenship. It is available in the UNESCO portal, I think. So it is, and it represents the ASEAN region, Asia specific countries. So and they have categorically emphasized on, that is in this framework, SEL framework, that is categorically emphasized on the competencies. That means we have to develop certain competencies, sustainable competencies, learning and competencies, primarily based on emphasizing on the critical thinking skill, empathy, collaboration. So which are actually associated with this 4.7. So we are also talking about the developing the universal values, developing ethics, universal responsibilities, rights, attitude, behavior. So which are already there incorporated in this SEL framework, and the competencies like critical thinking, empathy, collaborations, which are already mentioned in 4.7, they are already well integrated into this education policy curriculum, and also incorporated in the teacher training development framework also, for the necessary growth of national economic growth, social well-being, community well-being, etc. Here in this framework, according to this framework, the teacher is the facilitator. The teacher is the role model, teacher is the mentor, teacher is the guide. This is all actually available. This is the new concept. This is the regular features of this 21st century learning model, which is more of the based on constructive approach. That is, the learner is the pivot, and we are in the support, in the background, that the teachers are in the background as a guide, as a model, role model, as a facilitator, as a mentor. I think that means who demonstrates these values of intercultural understanding. The teacher as a facilitator must himself demonstrate the intercultural understanding, then values for the peace, non-violence, through his behavior, through consistent action, and the behavioral practices, etc. So the teacher himself has to exhibit all kinds of things through, in terms of the through the demonstration of his values in intercultural understanding, etc. And there is also an urgent need to focus on improving these inputs like curriculum development, teacher training, improvement in the teaching materials, including the improving the quality of the textbooks, and etc. That means we have to how to put it into the framework, not only in the framework but also in the content, within the curriculum, within the teacher training courses, within the teaching practices, within the classroom discussions, within the learning materials, everywhere how it can be incorporated. That is these skills and competencies for developing critical thinking, empathy, collaboration, and being a global citizen, what should be our duties, roles and responsibilities, it should be clearly explained how to put it. So the MGIP has taken it forward by not only introducing a conceptual framework for schooling, but also in building this textbook, some of the textbook and learning materials, course material, not only for the education school curriculum but for the teacher training as well. So policymakers should also be aware of these kind of things, because ultimately it also leads to the not only in skill development and the 21st century skills, competencies, but also it also helps us in mapping our existence, mapping our present status across the culture, across the continent. So that means to position ourselves in terms of ranking, in some of the international competitions, international context, like the rating in the international assessment exercises like the PISA test and all kinds of TOEFL and GMAT, all kinds of international tests. What is our position? So this will also help us in positioning ourselves in international context. Again, this is another link where you can also find it out, that the details of the MGIP and its conceptual framework. So these are the things about this global citizenship, MGIP framework, and the learning domains. So now let us discuss in detail these learning domains of the global citizenship education that we have just discussed a little bit. That is cognitive domain, that is the knowledge and thinking skills, which are very much essential. Unless and until we actively think, that means we actively engage ourselves in deep understanding, we reflect upon this, we analyze it, we scrutinize it, we evaluate it. So we cannot identify our loopholes, we cannot identify our weaknesses. Hence the right kind of knowledge and thinking skills are very much essential for having a better understanding of the whole world, or this ever changing world, ever evolving world. So, this element introduces actually the basis of the implementation of GCED into practice. So, without understanding we cannot practice it. So, cognitive domain, it emphasizes on acquisition of right kind of knowledge, thinking skills, like especially critical thinking, creative thinking, analytical skills, all kinds of higher order thinking skills, so that it becomes very clear for us, for all of us to understand it, learn it, apply it, and that means we can say imbibe these things and manifest it in our behavior. Then the next is that your to acquire more knowledge and thinking skills for the critical mindset that we have already discussed, for not only for knowledge acquisition, but also for resolving some of the critical issues, environmental issues, okay, environmental issues, etc. So, and how to resolve these issues. So, socio emotionals, like the right kind of attitude, values and social skills that enable the learners to effectively, psychosocially, physically belong to, that means this kind of global culture. So, and to believe into living together with others in a peaceful manner, in the not in a sharing and caring basis, like it is not just about taking care of our self interest, but also sharing and caring for others, helping others. That means the humanity, that means humanity, attitude, service orientation. So, that is very much important for them, and the elements that need to be instilled in this process is that to produce the human being who respect each other, who care for each other, who protect their environment, who protect the environmental rights, who protect the social rights of others. Then again, how to build up a cohesive group to protect our environment, to face our environmental challenges and to resolve our environmental problems. So, a strong bonding, strong connection should be established for for nurturing the better future, for nurturing a better place to live in whichever place, in whichever country, whichever location where we are living, does not matter, but how to live together with a strong bonding, connection, rapport, and group feeling, we feeling, the sense of belongingness within us, to not only save our planet, but protect our future generation, protect our future planet from the future. So, how to restore these resources for our future, for our future generation, and how to carry forward this same kind of values, ethos and morals and feelings and empathy for the future generation as well. So, that means whatever, in whichever way we will behave, these will be the lessons for our future generations. Now, with this all kinds of nowadays, with kind of media exposure, technology advancement, and cross cultural exposure also, that is cross cultural acculturation is not bad, but when we just try to imitate the negative aspects of the culture, cross cultural, the global culture, cultural practices, that is the bad thing. We can, everywhere there is some good things, and there are some wrong things also, but we need to adopt all the better, all the positive aspects from that culture, so that we can develop a very healthy global culture, global culture, we can say that cosmopolitan culture, and which includes the behavioral aspects, like how to conduct ourselves, how to engage ourselves in the learning domains of GCSD, how to enhance it, how to spread it, how to disseminate it, and how to with the help of GCED, how can we responsibly address the local and global issues, and moreover, that is how to build up a peaceful and sustainable world for not only for the present, but for the future generation as well. So, here in order to achieve the safe and sustainable environment, so therefore, it is very important to acknowledge the theory acquired and the knowledge that we have acquired through practice, to put it into action, for the to build up a sustainable society. So, implementing these three conceptual dimensions of GCD, So, it can help us in resolving many of the environmental issues for a better future and for a more sustainable planet. If we have the willpower, if you can think together, live together, if we can we can boost our sense of belongingness, or our unity in diversity, then definitely we can protect our planet, we can share our ethos and ethics and the resources, and then we can definitely ensure a better planet for our future generation. So, now thing is that next step is that so within this framework of SDG 4.7, similarly 4.7 other countries, they have also taken the initiative, like in the Gulf region also some of the member states, they have also taken up this enthusiasm that means revising their course curriculum, ensuring that their people also learn this kind of skills and acquire knowledge, and they also need to become the globally critically literate, ethical, etc. So, other countries, different countries, they have also taken the initiative in changing their curriculum practices, etc., and mobilize their human resources and people for for advocating, for propagating and practicing the GCED, that means global citizenship education, competencies and the skills, and include it in their course curriculum, in the classroom lesson plans also. So, in the curriculum, it primarily focuses on the curiosity, eager to know, keen to know and learn and understand the issues, curiosity focused, especially focused on curiosity, creative and critical thinking, caring thinking, that is critical thinking, creative thinking, critical reflection, questioning, having the dialogue, discussion, collaboration, cooperation. So, with the help of the technology also nowadays, we can also activate and revise and speed up this kind of learning processes mechanism, that is to achieve this kind of GCED and practice it and start it within our day to day practices in the educational framework very quickly and very smoothly. So, again this is also a link, you can go through it later on. So, now here in this regard, Oxfam is a society, it is a community, it is an unit, it is a global unit which extensively works on this global citizenship, and it is all about how to encourage young people to develop the knowledge, skills and values, and how they should be engaged in the world activities. So, Oxfam has also created extensively on this thing, how to make a difference with this GCED framework. So, education for global citizenship is therefore it is a framework of learning reaching beyond the school and reaching to the wider community, reaching to the the stakeholders of all age groups. So, then it can be promoted not only through class, but also not only through only existing class curriculum, etc., but through also new initiative and new activities. So, MGP also usually works on this in terms of organizing various youth programs, youth exchange programs, then eco-friendly materials, resources for spreading this awareness, then active youth engagement, various youth engagement, skill training activities, competency training workshops, etc. So, to how to better engage our youths and promote the peace and well-being and happiness in the society. So, this is about this Oxfam education is a society, it is a community which has extensively worked on these things, and it has Oxfam actually advocated for this kind of thing, like it has prepared the different kinds of guides, that means how young people are how young people, they can be very critical to building a just and sustainable society without any poverty, without any constraints, without any inequality. Similarly, so they have also prepared this global citizenship guides, which advocates which outlines some of the key principles to take forward this global approach in teaching learning process, as well as how to embed these into the classroom lessons. So yes, definitely it has an immense benefit, and these how what are these to specify what are these benefits that we felt across the schools and beyond through this GCED is primarily first is that build their own understanding of the world event through GCED by formalizing this GCED education, global citizenship education, we straight away get these benefits. For example, all the stakeholders they can build their own understanding of the world events, they can better understand the world issues, challenges, and geographical positions, geographical and economical issues, etc. They can better understand the whole world events, even the all kinds of the wars, political chaos, riots, everything. So that they can think about the values and what is important to them and how these universal values are very important to them. So they can think about it, think about this importance of these values. So they can also take the learning into the real world. That means whatever book is theoretical learning we are actually acquiring, we are going through, how to bring it down into the real practice in resolving the social issues. So these are very important, how to that means how to address the challenges. So challenge how to address the intolerance, how to address the social chaos. So these are the benefits, how to get involved in the local, national and the global community level in different kinds of community welfare activities. Similarly, develop an argument and voice to their opinions. Like so, we can here we can not only listen to others, but we can also develop a kind of platform to have a detailed discussion, dialogue, argument, and we can position ourselves by by being vocal and by putting forward our own perspectives, our own opinions, our own objectives and our own perspectives, and can discuss on this through arguments. Similarly, we can see how this power can help us in influencing the world around us, how this can help us in bringing an impact on the society, positive impact on the society. So these things, when we specify it through GCED, formalize it and put it in the curriculum, in the lesson plan and practice it in the classroom discussion, definitely is going to have some impact, some influence, positive impact on our society. But here again our goal is not just for our society, impact on our society, but the global society. So these are some of the UNESCO guidelines you can see here in the YouTube links. Now, then next issue is that leveraging the cultural diversity for SDGs. Yes, all of us we know it is an inevitable issue that the cultural diversity, not only in terms of race, ethnic language, etc., but in terms of n number of factors. How this cultural diversity can be leveraged, can be benefited, can be used, can be utilized for achieving SDG and for the benefit of our global citizenship. So the cultural heritage, as you know, it's a every culture, every country have their own culture, and this cultural heritage, that is his history, is a heritage, actually it strengthens this country's history, geography and the their you can say their culture. So cultural heritage you can say it defines any country's or any citizens shared identity that makes that land unique, that makes that people different and attractive, different and unique in their own place. So the diversity of the heritage allows actually regional identities to thrive, supporting the human dignity, peace and security and well-being. Even though cultural heritage it takes forward or shares their own identity in individual identity of the citizens, particular countries, citizens, etc., but again cultural diversity also it allows others, other people from other background, etc., and allow them to thrive because of this some of the universal values like human dignity, peace, security, well-being. These are some of the universal values which are embedded in this in the particular culture and their particular in different culture. And so that is why irrespective of diversity in our cultural heritage, etc., how can we survive, how can we thrive, how can we progress, how can we move forward, taking into account this human dignity, universal peace, security and well-being, which have been clearly mentioned in all the SDGs like the SDG 4, 5, 8, 10, 11, 12, 16, etc. So culture has so therefore it is very much clear that culture has a very significant role to play, crucial role to play in almost all the SDGs, and especially SDG 17, which clearly advocates for the global partnership for achieving all the 16 SDGs. So, for making our cities and human settlements more inclusive, safe, resilient, sustainable, resourceful. So this culture and cultural heritage, and how to manage diversity, how to leverage this cultural diversity for the benefit of SDGs, that we are going to learn and assess. It is very important. So, in target 11.4, it is already mentioned that safeguard the world's culture and natural heritage. Now, UNESCO has already addressed this goal even before the formal introduction 2000, even before this SDG have been declared in 2015, but even before 2015 UNESCO has already acted upon this by declaring some of the heritage sites, almost every country in across the globe, like world heritage sites. Similarly in India also UNESCO has identified some of the world heritage site, and similarly in other places across the globe also UNESCO has already declared these are the world heritage sites. So, how to leverage these world heritage sites, how to leverage these places, this world heritage places and the places for the benefit of developing this kind of global citizenship education. Okay. So, here we can say that heritage, it can become one of the driver of sustainability. This cultural heritage can also, diversity and heritage can also act as a driver or mobilizer for achieving sustainability in our planet. So, cultural heritage, as you know, is actually till now it has been under recognized as a resource for the sustainable development, which must be fully utilized, which must be fully acknowledged and leveraged. And as you know, heritage also supports the environmental quality. Heritage means how to protect, like in our country we have the heritage of cultural heritage of Ayurveda, some medicines, some yoga. Again, yoga is a part of our heritage, cultural yoga, yogic practices, then our mindfulness activities, spiritual practices, our from the Bhagavad Gita to all kinds of epics also, we are also learning so many new things regarding the human behavior, thought processes. So, these are our legacy, these are our heritage, and it has a immense potential. So, that is why nowadays when the government announces about this Atmanirbhar Bharat, means Atmanirbhar means whatever heritage, cultural heritage resources that we are already having, we are already carrying for the last 300-400 years. So, how to protect these, how to save these, how to utilize these, and how to save it for the future generation. So, that is our government has also announced for a platform called Indian Knowledge System. Indian Knowledge System is a platform where all these kind of our heritage, traditional knowledge, heritage, and our Ayurvedic medicine to our language, different languages, and including all kinds of including Sanskrit, Urdu, Hindi, and other languages, then medicines, different kinds of medicines, then our epics, our cultural practices, our spiritual things, our yoga, so many n number of things are going to be saved, are going to be protected, are going to be stored and disseminated, that is in the platform of the Indian Knowledge System. So, here how we are going to protect our heritage, which also supports how to protect our environment quality, how to enhance our quality of education, how to upgrade our inclusive economic development, how to ensure social equity, how to ensure the community well-being and happiness, how to make our citizen more resilient, tolerant, resilient, patient. That means to not only to survive, but to sustain and succeed in the future also. So, here being the heritage being the driver of this global citizenship education or sustainability. So, it also advocating the role of cultural heritage in the SDGs. So, this includes, that means includes communicating and advocating the role of heritage at the global, national, local levels, of the policy and practice as well as within academia. So, all these things, cultural heritage, and that means which includes our heritage and cultural practices at the national level, the global level, at the local level, also in terms of policy and practice. This should be acknowledged, advocated, practiced, and it should be also included in the academia platform of academia, for practices. So, heritage for climate action, human rights and sustainability. Heritage can also help us in monitoring, regulating, that means climate changes, change actions, and the human rights also responsibility, because traditionally when we go back, how our traditional people, how they were restoring, how they are monitoring, how they are identifying how they are predicting the climate change, how they are protecting the human rights and sustainability. So, emerging professionals and the culture nature kind of practitioners, journey practitioners, culture and nature, those who the professional who work on the culture and nature interface, and those people who are the indigenous, how to protect the indigenous culture heritage, like our tribal people, our regional people, like in the northeast region, that is hills indigenous heritage, how to foster them, how to foster our diversity, as well as how to bring them into the mainstream. So, irrespective of having the diversity in across the culture and practice, etc., but how to bring them into or make them a part of this inclusive society. So, also cultural heritage also defines our identity. Definitely, if you are having particular kind of cultural heritage, it allows us the regional identities to thrive. It also supports our human dignity, peace, security, etc. But how to, so it also defines our identity. So, therefore, we need to protect it, all the indigenous identity of particular groups, ethnic groups. Even we also need to protect our heritage buildings. So, which can be like you must have seen that. So, most of the old palaces in Rajasthan, in Madhya Pradesh, they have been converted into the hotels like Taj Hotel, and in the Jaipur also, Rajasthan Jaipur, so many palatial things have been converted into the international hotels, not just to acknowledge, not just to restore the heritage, our heritage aspect, but to disseminate it, to flourish it, to nurture it, and use it for the not only for the tourism purpose, but showing off our cultural heritage and background. So, leveraging the cultural heritage, definitely should be incorporated as a part of the policy. So, it is a policy tool. If the policy allows, if it can be implemented through policy, then the policy analysis, outreach documents, etc. It also requires to inform the stakeholder and educate the people that how the heritage issues can be heritage issues can be resolved, and how can we get the solutions of different problems, social problems can also be properly sorted out. So, cultural heritage also promotes the creativity and production. So, that means being a part of India. So, in every state has its own cultural background, cultural journey, practices, some creative products, heritage, that means some folk arts, some folk arts, some creative products, even in terms of clothing, fashion, pottery, handicraft, all kinds of things. Every state they are having their own cultural practices. So, it also gives like some kind of innovative ideas, creative thinking, artistry, all kinds of things. So, cultural heritage also very often, not often, but very often it promotes creativity and productivity. The productivity then not only to restore it for the knowledge sake, but also to practice. It also sometimes gives some kind of source of some kinds of living, source of living. In terms of employment, in terms of leading the day to day life, or earning the bread also, like all the handicrafts, all kinds of things. So, the communities also contribute for nowadays in global communities, global context, they are also where communities also contribute for the decent jobs, how to ensure the decent jobs for our stakeholders, for our citizens. So, ensuring the get decent jobs for our people, and also and sometimes we can also promote these kind of local cultural products, traditional arts, handicrafts, creative things, not only for the issue of the not only for issue of the tourism, but also for but for the for giving the employment and giving the sustainable livelihood for many people, especially in the rural setup. So, harnessing the heritage of sustainable cities and communities also, again it also comes under the SDG 11, 13, 16, like how to nurture, how to harness the sustainable cities and communities. Nowadays, we have all these smart cities, some of the identified smart cities, and their progress are being followed up, monitored regularly from time to time. So, how to ensure that with the increasing population, with the increasing resource crunch, with the increasing climate change and all kinds of the natural disaster, etc., how can we promote this or promote and ensure the sustainable cities and communities. This is also again another challenge. So, cultural heritage also provides well tested resilience. So, from it also examines, it also we can it gives us some kinds of historic evidence, historic stories also to validate that validate the not only the importance of the traditional knowledge, the quality of the historic materials, but also how enduring and how tolerant and how sustainable our culture was in the past. So, how to carry forward this kind of thing, how to carry forward these practices to future, that is the enduring nature of the culture. So, cultural heritage also empowers the vulnerable groups, those who are actually who are at risk, So, how to protect this tangible and intangible current cultural heritage, and protecting the communities, like some indigenous people, like the tribal culture, and there are so many types of tribal, then the tribal languages, and who maintain the strong links with the nature, who actually stays in close association with the nature, especially the tribal people, indigenous people, and those people who are actually residing in the rural areas. So, culture and heritage also bring the people together, culture and heritage bring the people together for fostering, for enhancing the social cohesion and peace for all, and making the society a sustainable society. And also cultural heritage is also source of knowledge and educational resource also. It is a repository of knowledge, not only the traditional knowledge, but also so many valuable medical, Ayurvedic and logistic, even Chanakya Niti. For example, Chanakya Nitis are still relevant in the field of economics nowadays. So, Chanakya Niti, Ayurveda in the health, all kinds of things are the knowledge repository and educational resource for our country. So, immeasurable knowledge gets accumulated over the centuries, and how to transmit these from generation to generation, how to embody it, these which are embodied in these heritage sites and communities, how to again tangible knowledge and intangible, and how to capture it, how to, which are explicit, which are they are recorded, they are exhibited, they are which are implicit knowledge which are they are inherent within in the civilization, in the local people, in the local culture. So, how to identify it and capture it, tap it, and keep it and store it for the future reference. So, that is the tangible knowledge, intangible knowledge, explicit knowledge and implicit knowledge, how to capture it and use it for the social benefit. So, education, it draws a lot from this cultural context, from the heritage, from the resources, and it has to take so therefore, ESD has to take up the major role to not only to capture, but to disseminate it, to reorganize it, to protect it and preserve it for the benefit of the society, not only for the present generation in designing, preparing or making a just society, but also a sustainable society for our future generation as well. So, for right now up to this we have discussed in this class. The next class we will just follow up the other things, other concepts related to GESD. Now, after this I end it here. Thank you very much.